We will start off with the candidate introductions. Mayor Rudy Durham.
Thank you. TJ, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Rudy Durham. I'm running for mayor in the city of Lewisville. I want to thank the mall for having us here, and to thank all the people in the audience. Is that better? Okay, good. And thank the audience for being in attendance. I've lived in Lewisville for 60 plus years. I graduated from Lewisville High School. I have a BBA in real estate from North Texas State University. Professionally, I am the chief appraiser of the Denver Central Appraisal District, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in Texas. For the city government, I've been serving, I started serving on numerous boards and commissions, including the Planning and Zoning Commission in 1989. In 1994, I decided to run for and was elected to the Lewisville City Council. I stayed on that until I was elected mayor in 2015. I also represent the city of Lewisville on the Regional Transportation Council, the Dallas Regional Mobility Coalition, and in both cases, both groups deal with transportation issues for North Texas. I want to continue working on the Lewisville 2025 Vision Plan by expanding the green, working with neighborhoods, and to keep pushing for economic development. I am asking to be re-elected Lewisville mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Next we'll have Winston Edmondson.
All right, I want to thank you guys all for coming. I always thought that the mall would be a great spot for kind of a community gathering. And so I want to thank Richard, Gabby, and Sandra for making this possible and being a partner to the community. And they've actually said that in the future, other town hall meetings we're going to have here as well. My name is Winston Edmondson. I'm running for mayor. And my goal tonight is to tell you a little bit about the role of the mayor. I want you to know kind of what the benchmark is. How can the mayor get a check in the box of this is a job, you know, you've done the job as described, and then I want to tell you what the mayor can do to take it to the next level. What can a mayor do to go above and beyond to be the face of the city? That's my goal tonight, because really it doesn't take much to be the mayor as described. You have to preside over the city council meetings. You have to come to public appearances like this, but with a little bit more effort, with a little bit more willingness, with a little bit more making yourself accessible to the people, you can take things a little bit further. So what I want you to do tonight is to imagine in your mind, what are the qualities of a great mayor? And as you think about that, you hear what we propose, I hope you'll measure us by the specific things that we're going to talk to you about tonight. So if we kind of talk in generalities, I don't know if that'll be good enough for you. Hopefully you'll hear very specific things that we want to do and accomplish as mayor, and you can hold us to that standard. Thank you.
Let me jump into the first question here. We are at the mall tonight, and it's fitting. I think you know, Lewisville has had some challenges in terms of retail turnover and that sort of thing, and this mall is one place that was not doing so well not too long ago, and it's since been taken over. I kind of want to know, you know, what you guys think the role of the city is with regards to, you know, bringing in the kinds of retailers and restaurants and entertainment venues that the citizens would like. And if you think the city has a role in that, then what do you think that you can actually do on council to get the kinds of choices that citizens want and will support in our city? So with that said, we're going to do the round robin thing, and it will be Winston Edmondson's turn to answer first, and then we'll go back around to Rudy Durham. Thank you.
When most people think about the relationship to the city council and retail partners, all they think about are these vacant buildings. You know, it doesn't look good, but really there's a lot more to it. Here in Lewisville, our retail partners, and I call them partners because we really do need to partner with them. They're vital to our interest because we need that sales tax revenue. So as unsightly as you might think it is when you pass a vacant building, it's doubly bad because we're not making any money, we're not making any sales tax revenue. So that's something we definitely need to address. What can the city do to get involved? Well, the mayor can lend himself to the economic development team. And we do have folks on staff that go out and try to bring interesting businesses to Lewisville. But how much more effective could they be if the mayor was available to them, if the mayor was willing to go out on sales calls, if the mayor really took an active interest in that? You know, I visited with the folks here at the mall and said I would love to have more of a partnership at the mall, perhaps even an office here that we could do various things, and they were open to that. So when you speak with some of the retail partners in Lewisville, they are open to working with the city and having a more, again, a partnership. So as mayor, I want to be a true partner to our retail partners, the ones that are here, and helping to let citizens know some of the unique gems that we have here in Lewisville that maybe some folks don't know about, but also in acquiring new businesses for the city. Thank you.
We have to remember that malls all over the country are in trouble. Before Music City Group came in and bought this, there were numerous people that were coming in and talking about tearing down most of the mall, leaving the anchors at some point dealing with them about just becoming land again. We were lucky that Music City Mall decided to come in and do what they've done. They've got challenges ahead of them. The city will be a partner with them, but we're not going to be an investment partner. We're not going to do the leasing of the property. We will encourage people to come in. We will try to work with the mall operators to get the right mix. If there's something the city can do, but the city is limited on what they can do. They can provide incentives through TIFs and other things, but it's very difficult when the whole market is changing. The landscape of retail is changing, and it's going to take some innovation to come in with the mall. And I hope that the mall people, I'm pretty sure they're looking at everything they can think of. This is a unique property. It's a unique. Going to be a unique activity with the Music City part of it, and I hope it all works. But the city will work with them all, as long as with other groups that come in. We've got things like this all over the area. Grocery stores are closing because the market has changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, candidates. The next thing I want to ask about relates to just kind of the openness of our city, not just in terms of, you know, citizens approaching their government, you know, for information and what have you. This relates to the city feeding out information, reaching out to residents, reaching out to underserved populations, or, you know, and kind of inviting people into the fold to participate in city activities and that sort of thing. So I just kind of want to ask, you know, do you think our city is open? If not, you know, what needs to change? What are we doing right? Up to you. Tell us what you think.
Neil brought up the festivals and all, and
If you could hold the mic a little closer.
shoot into it, and we'll find out. The festivals, the Colorpalooza type things that we have, the whatever was for that Chalk This Way, Western Days, the rodeo. We're going to try to work more with those kind of deals. We've tried them in the past, and quite often we had great ideas, and the problem was we got rained out. So you have to go another year, and when you get rained out, it sort of takes the steam off of things. about working. I will give you one. A citizen a few years ago came to the council and was upset that there wasn't enough public involvement. And they had a great idea. It was make a whole lot of bad decisions. And I guarantee, this person did say that you make a whole lot of bad decisions and you'll force people to come down here and scream about stuff and they'll get involved. And you start thinking, that'll be for the next 2 or 3 councils after the current one to come in when you do stuff like that. But that was a deal. But we are working on a lot of different things. Sometimes the things we're working on work out, other times they don't. But the city is trying on a bunch of different levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Edmondson.
There are so many things that the city can do to be more open. As mayor, one of the things I want to do is make myself available to the people. Right now, if you have an issue and you want to speak to the mayor, maybe you give a call or send an email, most likely he'll put you in touch with someone on city staff that might be able to help you. As mayor, I want to have open office hours where folks can come down if they have an idea or a concern and visit with the mayor. To me, one of the greatest things about Lewisville is we are a big city, but we have that old town, that small town feel. As mayor, I can kind of help reestablish that by being a mayor that's available to the people. Also, right now, if you want to serve on a board, what do? You look online, you look at all the various boards and commissions, and you let them know that you want to serve on one. But you can't serve until an opening becomes available. And then you have to be nominated by one of the council members. So I know folks that have been waiting for years sometimes to be able to serve. As mayor, what I want to do is create a number of open commissions that anyone can serve if they want to. I'd like to have an open direct initiative commission where as a group of citizens we can hear from folks that want to change laws. You know, on the city charter we have this neat little option where you as citizens can make laws. I want to create a commission that can kind of hear citizens and listen to what they would want to do and vote on that. As mayor, if the commission says this is an initiative that we want to go forward with, then I can put that on the agenda. We can talk about it on the council. Also want to do a number of town hall meetings here at the mall to help folks feel like they can really get plugged in and serve if they want to. So yeah, we are doing some things right, but as a city and as this position, the mayor, there's so much more we can do to make citizens feel like they're wanted, that their services is wanted.
Thank you very much. So this next one, we see a lot on Facebook, we see citizens complain, and the complaints kind of go like this. My neighbor has a bunch of junk in their yard and I never can get code enforcement to come out there and make them clean it up. And then the other complaint you hear is, code enforcement breathes down my neck. If my grass gets too high, they're just right on me. Or another one goes like this, okay? I want to start a business in this city and I want to move into Old Town, but there's too many restrictions down there. I can't open up the kind of business I want to open up. But then we also have others who say, man, we want to keep this area nice. We don't want just any old business coming in and putting any, metal building up or, auto repair shop or whatever. So there's kind of a balance here between, freedom to do what you want to do on your property versus the shared responsibility of, having a nice city and having things how we kind of collectively want them to be. So what I'd like to ask you about is your thoughts on, just do you like to be, do you lean more towards freedom or the shared responsibility? What are your thoughts on that? So that's, kind of an open-ended question. So, Mayor Durham.
In most cases, you have to work out something in the middle. It usually make half the people mad on one side and the other half mad on the other side. But that's what you usually end up with, and it ends up being the best thing in the long run. if you're not careful, you'll come up with a situation like there's some people in the state legislature right now that, particularly in the Senate, are trying to push an idea of liberty cities. Just look that up. Liberty cities, there are no rules. There are no zoning deals, there are no speed limits, there are no police. Everybody deals with themselves. It's pretty much anarchy. But that's what some people, the extreme on one, deal with. Liberty cities, just look it up. It's amazing that people actually think that way. Now, they wouldn't allow that in their neighborhood while they're living in $500,000 houses. But you do have to come in with a middle ground on most of these things. As far as what the mall can do right now, they're going to have to work with what the mall can do and then come to the city asking for help, or if the city can give them any assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edmondson.
This is a great question. I lean towards the freedom side of things, but I will say this: when I speak to citizens that raise some of the concerns that you mentioned, I find that it's not just that they're angry about any particular ordinance. What I find is that they are upset at the lack of transparency, and they're upset at ordinances that aren't enforced equally. So, as mayor, one of the things I want to do is make sure that we strive for transparency. If there's a citizen that has an issue with a particular ordinance and comes to me and asks, okay, you're saying that the city tells me I can have a shed that has to be this, these dimensions. Why is that? I've got this plan for a really nice shed that's a little bit bigger, and you're telling me I have to spend $300 to hope for a variance. Tell me what is the situation? And in my experience, citizens will, if you have a reasonable explanation, they'll be okay with it. Citizens are okay with hearing no, as long as they know why. They don't want just to say no because that's the way we've always done it. That's the way it's done here in Lewisville. Get used to it. No, they want to know why. And as mayor, I want to help discover the why. And if there is no why, I want to bring it back before the council and let's have a discussion. Let's re-examine it if we need to. And also on making sure that we enforce things equally. If I get reports that some areas get code enforcement will come out and deal with them very harshly, and other areas kind of get off scot-free, then I want to investigate that. Because again, people aren't so upset with the enforcement of laws. They are usually upset because they feel like they're getting picked on or it's not fair. So transparency and making sure that we enforce the laws equally is a big aspect of what I'll bring to the table as mayor.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next question relates to the Vision 2025 plan. That is sort of the broad vision that a citizens committee had worked on several years ago and worked out with the council and city staff. And it's kind of a wide-ranging plan full of big moves that the city would like to accomplish before 2025, which is our 100th anniversary. 2025 contains a number of very ambitious projects, some of them very expensive. What I'd like to ask you candidates about is kind of how do you feel about the velocity of what we're doing for 2025? Are we moving quickly enough? Not quickly enough? Too fast? Are we tackling the right projects first? And feel free if you want to give an example of a project you really support or you don't like, just jump right in there. And so we will start this question with Mayor Durham.
Well, the 2025 plan isn't something that's set in stone, and it's just basically a guideline. If money keeps coming in, if we keep having a pretty good economy for the next 4 or 5 years, we might could get a bunch of it accomplished. If things happen in the next 6 months, something like 9/11 again, everything changes. That would change all of it. The money would change. And I'm assuming you're talking about the philosophy. I'm assuming you're talking about getting the projects done. Okay. But right now, things are moving in the right direction. It's going to take money, and it's going to take quite a bit of money. Some of it's going to have to be done with bonds, and we'd have to have approval of the voters. One of the biggest things that's coming up right now is the multi-generational center. It's a huge project. When it was bid out and when we put it in the budget, since then the things have changed quite a bit, and it's going to cost more money. And that money doesn't grow on trees. We've got to come up with a way to do it. And you can't build a third of the center. You just try to work out something else and get the job done. It isn't all a free lunch out there, so we're just going to keep working as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edmondson.
So I want to say real quick, speaking of velocity, we are kind of cruising through these questions because we had two people that weren't able to make it. So my suggestion would be, I don't know if we can do this, but perhaps at the end we'll have time to actually take questions from the audience. So just a suggestion. As far as the velocity of our projects, I think a lot of folks feel like things aren't getting done, even though we are working on it. But the reason why they feel that way is they don't hear, in my opinion, from the leadership of the city. The face of the city is the mayor. He's the head of the city. So as mayor, I would want to be out there speaking with citizens. I'd want to be a present in the community, on social media, talking with individuals about what we're doing, where we are, and just letting them know that the mayor is, involved right now. And in a lot of cities, you have mayors that aren't very involved. They're elected, and then they kind of, fade into the background, and they do what they do at the city council meeting. But between each city council meeting, you never hear from them. As mayor, I want to be out there and let the folks know where we are, what we're doing, and kind of be that role of the mayor that is visible and seen. So that's, there's not much we can do to speed a lot of this up, but we can do a better job and be more effective at communicating things to the people and letting them know what's going on.
Thank you very much. All right. Do we have anybody here from Castle Hills? I see Ms. Timish. Yes. All right, if you're from Castle Hills, bad news, you can't vote in this election. But in a few years, Castle Hills, as many of you know, will become a part of Lewisville. That's the plan. Lewisville owns a, a 5-foot wide strip around the entire boundary of Castle Hills. So it's sort of betrothed to Lewisville and will become a part of Lewisville. Now, it may not necessarily be an easy task because, as you know, Castle Hills has a little bit different demographics. It's physically separated from our city. It's across a river and 2 landfills from us. Its residents may prefer to shop in Carrollton or the Colony. It may be closer for them than, say, this mall. So, we're going to have to kind of join our 2 communities, hopefully into one cohesive community. What I'd like you guys to talk about briefly is, number one, do you support the annexation? I guess I don't want to take that for a given, but number 2, if and when it happens, how do we make it go smoothly? How do we make it so that they feel welcome, we feel welcome? We're one big happy Lewisville family like we are today. So I believe, let's see, this one goes to Winston.
All right, so 3 years ago when I ran for mayor, even though Castle Hills residents can't vote, I suggested that we have a candidate forum in Castle Hills for Castle Hills residents, and we did that. And the reason I did it is because I know that in the future they are going to be a part of the Lewisville family, and I feel like it is important to reach out and let them know that we want to know what their concerns are. We want to know what their questions are. So from back then all the way to today, I think just reaching out and letting them know that we are welcoming them in with open arms, that goes a long way. Lewisville citizens are just like I said, this is a big city, but it has that small city feel. You know, we all are very welcoming, and so some of the events we put on, when you go out to Old Town and you hang out with your neighbors, you feel at home, you feel like you belong. And so as mayor, what I would want to do, even before the annexation happens, is reach out to Castle Hills and let them know what we're trying to do. Bring them into the fold, get them involved, because once you kind of cross that border, 121, and go over into Lewisville, you will feel like you're at home. And so that's kind of what we have to do, just continually reach out and let them know that they are wanted. Yes, I do support it. There will be challenges, but yeah, I think Lewisville citizens will make them feel at home, and we'll get along.
Mr. Mayor Durham.
Okay. As Ronnie knows and Bobby, we started working on this in 1994. And it wasn't always pleasant with the banana strip that we got blocked out, so we couldn't go through the road through Carrollton. Lawyers made a lot of money on that, and we got that worked out. Since then, it's been pretty good. But the biggest thing that's going to happen on this, and when the annexation will occur, is when the debt levy gets down low enough that the city of Lewisville can absorb it, and it won't be a burden on the citizens that are already in Lewisville. That's what it's coming down to. And in a lot of cases, the citizens at Castle Hills will have their property taxes for their city or water district reduced in half. That's the huge deal about this, and that's what it's been since the beginning that we were working on this. I am in favor of it. I don't know how the annexations will go. It may be on a unit by unit, or it may be a few at a time. But it's going to be complicated when it goes through. But I think we can get it done, and it should be good for everybody involved. As far as where people shop and all that other stuff, every time I go to Frisco, I see somebody there. Every time in Lewisville, I see somebody from Flower Mound. So people go where they want to go. People were upset at one time because Vista Ridge was having trouble with the Stonebriar Mall. And how can they compete with that? You go, they're owned by the same people. So, just think about that.
That's so funny.
Thank you very much. All right. Next, I want to talk about a topic that's really been in the news a lot lately. This topic is basically school safety. You know, there's been school shootings and violence that would happen on school campuses. And, you know, I know that, you know, you guys are not the school board, but I know that cities play a role in security and play a role in keeping a town safe. So I just want to ask if you have any thoughts how the city of Lewisville could increase school safety or at least prevent a tragedy. So.
First of all, there are 13 cities that make up Lewisville ISD. This is all going to come down to money. 50,000+ students. Quite a few of the campuses are open from 7 o'clock in the morning with students there till 8:30 at night. Some nights of the week anyway, and sometimes 6 days a week. If you figured, the last time I checked at City of Lewisville when we were hiring police officers, we were looking somewhere between $75,000 and $80,000, probably that's on the low side, for an officer, their hard and their soft cost. And you can't have a campus of 2,000 people with one officer on duty. There would have to be more than that. When the cities look at it, for every one officer on patrol, it takes 4 other people, 4 other officers to make it up. So for every one officer you hire, there has to be 5, because they work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You got to figure holidays and vacations, sick, and everything into it. So it's not going to be an easy deal, and it's very expensive. Lewisville ISD has, I believe, 69 campuses. So if you just had 3 officers in every deal, and if you look at Parkland in Florida, they were having 9 sheriff's deputies at the doors of the building. That didn't include any of the other things going on in the building, and that was just at one time. And they probably had to have 3 shifts a day. Thank you.
Thank you. And to you, Mr. Edmondson.
This is probably the most important question you've asked today. You know, they say hindsight is 20/20, but for those of you that are parents, is that good enough? If there is a tragedy in one of our schools, is it okay if we say, you know what, hindsight's 20/20, now we know? No, that's not acceptable. We have to do better. We have to do a better job of protecting our children. How do we do that? We need more officers in at least the Lewisville schools. You're right, it is the Lewisville Independent School District, but I can guarantee if our city and the police department offer more school resource officers, they will absolutely take them. How do we do that? We need more police officers on the force. When I speak with Lewisville police officers and I ask, what are the tools that you need to do a better job or to make your job safer? They say, we don't need any tools, we need more police officers. And so I looked it up. I compared Lewisville with a number of cities. And for 5 cities that are generally about the same size as us, a little bit smaller actually, we fall far below in the number of police officers on staff. In fact, the national average for cities of our size is 1.9 police officers for every 1,000 residents. For a city the size of Lewisville, that would put us right at 200 police officers. Lewisville only has 158 police officers, so we have to have more officers. How do we do that? Well, I would love to hear from the other candidates if they think we need to hire more officers. But yeah, we need to look at how we can fund more full-time police officers. But in the meantime, what I want to do as mayor is launch the Lewisville Police Reserve Force. We have a lot of retired police officers in our community that are more than willing to come out and help serve, but they're not able to. Lewisville doesn't have a reserve force. As mayor, that's one of the things I want to establish, to immediately put more officers on the street. And then we need to look at how we can fund to hire more full-time officers so we can put more officers in our schools and send some of the resource officers to the elementary schools as well.
Thank you very much. We are not going to be able to get to all of the questions. I was going to cut this off at about 8:08, but since some of our candidates are missing, I think we will have time for one more question. What I want to ask you about relates to levels of taxation and also our yearly budget, our taxing and our spending. And this is also going to be a very open-ended, I guess, you know, where do you think we stand in relation to other cities and in relation to where we should be? Are we taxing too much, not enough? You know, where do we stand, and if you would do anything different? Back to you, Mayor Durham.
Thank you. Just to let you know, appraisal district notices will be going out. The first batch will go out April the 18th. The appraisal district values 465,000 accounts a year. So, and we do that all within 75 days. So it's going to be coming out. As far as the tax rate, City of Lewisville is on the low end as a tax rate. Denton County is on the low end of the tax rate. Now, I will say, I got to say this against the county a little bit. They count the other counties that have hospital districts and college districts, and that does change it. Lewisville doesn't have that, and Denton County doesn't have that. So it is something to think about on those. There are some cities that the tax rate is dramatically less, but they offer less. That's when you have the 2-person police department and they quit one night because they got mad at each other. So that's what you end up with that. The other side of it is if you go to the Planos, the Carrolltons, their rates are going to be 25 to 30% more than Lewisville is. Their values are similar per person, but the citizens demand more. So that's something we got to look at on that. But I think the rates are in line. The values will keep going up for the short term. At some point, the market has to go back down, and it will not be pretty when that happens. If the market does go down, when it does go down, lots of things will shut down. The buildings will quit going. We've got to remember the biggest project we had going was one of the biggest projects in the country, I-35E.
Mr. Edmondson.
So we get about a third of our revenue from property taxes, a third from sales tax, and a third from fees and service, fees from the city. So what that means is if we don't do something about our retail partners, if we don't jump in and try to help out, what's going to happen? Either we're not going to have, we're going to have to raise property taxes to make the difference, or we're going to have to reduce what the city can offer because of that loss of income. So, in my opinion, this question really is about what are we going to do to help our retail partners? And it's true, Amazon.com and a lot of these online retailers are hurting the retail business. It's difficult to compete. So as mayor, I want to go out and try to bring some unique businesses to Lewisville that won't necessarily have to compete with people like Amazon. So for example, tomorrow morning I'm meeting with a gentleman who wants to bring a basketball facility here to Vista Ridge Mall. Things like that where you come into the mall and you have basketball tournaments all day. These are folks that are spending to get in, spending money once they're in the mall. They're spending money. That's what we need, that sales tax revenue. What if we had a University of Texas at Dallas satellite campus here on the other end of the mall, and students could come to Lewisville and take classes, and our Lewisville high school students could take classes so they actually graduate with an associate's degree. There are areas that have done things like that. Lewisville can do those things too. As mayor, I want to go out and try to bring some of those partnerships to Lewisville. We have to focus on reinvigorating the retail space with unique businesses that don't necessarily compete with Amazon, or else we will end up having to raise property taxes.
That is all the questions that we're going to get to. We're going to give each candidate a minute apiece to wrap it up and just kind of say whatever they didn't get to, whatever questions we didn't get to, if they have something they want to pitch. And we are going to, I believe, we're going to start that with you, Mayor Durham. 1 minute to wrap it up.
While y'all are here, I would like to make an offer that if you have $4 billion, that the city and the state and the county would love for you to come talk to us so we can, I hate to say expand, start the construction on phase 2 of I-35E. Just phase 2, $4 billion, it'd be a good deal. You could get paid out over 52 years and probably make somewhere around 10% a year. It's the biggest deal we do have going is 35E. It was terrible when it was under construction. For the ones that drive it every day now, it's great. So, yeah, thank you. I'm asking for your vote to continue being the mayor. The 2025 plan, the more retail, more warehouses to compete with online, and we've got to keep remembering that Amazon, while it is a huge problem for the retail business, it's great for the other stuff, and if they happen to be coming to North Texas, be it Lewisville or in Denton County, it's going to be great for all of us.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Edmondson.
Did you guys have fun tonight? I think we should do this more often. Town hall meetings here at the mall. This is a lot of fun. I like the looks we get from people walking by wondering what we're doing, but this should be a regular occurrence. I want to thank you all for coming. Pull up my website, electwinston.com. I am asking for your vote, and what I'm also asking for you is to go out and kind of take ownership of this election. You know, in Lewisville, we have a pitiful voter turnout. Typically about 2% of our voters get out and actually vote. So I need you guys to take ownership of this election. Go out and grab your friends and neighbors and tell them who you're voting for, and convince them to do the same, and take them with you, because we can do better than 2%. Again, I'm Winston Edmondson. I'm asking for your vote, and thanks for being here.